Of course, sir. Practice.
Sir, can you hear us? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear us, sir?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. आवाज थोड़ा और क्या नहीं रही
Start off.
এবারে হচ্ছে আপনার এটা স্যার কথা
Very good afternoon, Rathod Saab, General Siali ji, Professor Sikdar ji.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Is it Professor Sikdar speaking?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful, sir. What a great pleasure to join you, sir.
Yes, after a long, long time. That's right.
Yeah. Your brilliant contribution in your own sector. Well, I'm very happy that we three are going to be there from Malaysia as well as India to give a good dimension to this particular thing.
Yeah.
So equally happy that we are having Rathod Saab to moderate this session. Distinguished
Yes.
person, Rathod Saab, good afternoon. I think they're all muted.
Yeah.
And General Siali showed his face for a minute. Good afternoon, General Siali.
Yeah, they will be joining hopefully soon.
No, I saw you opened for a minute.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Let me also greet my good friend, architect Saurav Chaudhary. Saurav, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. So our distinguished speakers are there, both Rathod Saab as well as I'm not sure whether we have we already have our colleague from Malaysia to join there. Kesavan Jaganathan, has he come? Engineer. Saurav, it's good. You'll have to load my presentation at the right time, okay?
Yes, definitely.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Saurav.
So and so. उसके भी सर हमारे को बहुत कंप्लेंट्स आ रहे हैं क्या
Hello. Thackeray Saab is there. Good afternoon, Thackeray Saab. Good afternoon, President.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Tanmay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Sikdar Saab already greeted us. Our guest from Malaysia, has he joined? Engineer Kesavan Jaganathan.
So he will be joining shortly.
Is Tanmoy there?
Yeah, I am speaking, sir.
Hi, Tanmoy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah. Hi, Tanmoy. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine, sir. What about
Good.
you?
Thanks for all the link.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. General Siali is there.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Doing very well, sir. What a great initiative you have taken under the Institute of Engineers as DG. Very good. With the Institute of Engineers.
Really
And
privileged to have you on this learning platform, sir.
yeah, it's good. And more importantly, under the World Federation of Engineering Organization, CIC, you have the international webinar is something great.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll have a lot of participants coming from both sides of the country, India and Malaysia.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Very good. Wonderful.
And we got your presentations, are very relevant, and we thank you for that, sir.
Yeah. I'm sure Sikdar Saab will be equally good. I have not seen it. I thought I'll share with you that a little earlier yesterday, so I shared that. But you have given a good theme. The theme is very contemporary and very contextual and very thematic. And this is exactly what we need there. And I'm very happy that I hope all our institutional engineers branches are all getting in. They have a different platform to join or same platform only? How is it?
Same platform, sir.
Okay. So the number of participants, I was just looking at it, maybe that will increase over a period of time.
They will add up, sir. We already had about 200 plus registrations a few days.
Oh, that's really good. 200 is very good. आपकी head के पीछे that light is coming from the window, sir. Can you put a curtain there, sir? And some light on your face. but that would need a light on your face. In front of you, there should be a light. On your face, there's some light. Oh, picture wala light was making dark.
Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
sir.
Good afternoon, STG Sub. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon, Rathod
Good
sir. What a
afternoon.
pleasure. What a pleasure.
कैसे
Good
हो,
afternoon,
सुरेश साहब?
Rathur Saab.
हाँ जी, President साहब कैसे हो? ठीक है?
Sir, good afternoon. How are
I
you?
hope
Good
you are
afternoon.
keeping well.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm in Calcutta only.
Yeah, good afternoon, President Dr. Thakreji.
Good
Suresh
afternoon,
here.
sir. Good
Good
afternoon,
afternoon.
sir. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
We have met, sir, 30 years back in Mumbai, in your office.
Absolutely. I do remember and recall that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maharashtra sent you made it all so active.
Yeah.
Even now, I get invitations for events taking place there in the Institute of Engineers building in Mumbai. So I go very often whenever I get time there.
Yeah. Haji Ali.
Haji Ali. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great.
How are you keeping, sir?
I'm doing absolutely fine.
Oh.
Absolutely fine. So
nice.
I was so many. As long as work keeps you busy, we'll be on the toes. That's what is needed.
So nice to hear, sir.
Yes.
STG Sub, what is the position on the IEM side? Have been able to connect to them?
I'll just check up, sir.
Yeah, please.
Malaysia has to join. And the program, they are the first to speak.
So he will be joining shortly. He's in the process of joining.
Hang on.
Rathod Sahab, could you get an opportunity to see my presentation?
No, not really.
I sent it to you, sir, yesterday.
I was in Delhi yesterday, so.
Okay.
some
I thought
meeting.
since you are moderating the session, I thought General Siali has seen it and Thakre Sahab, of course, I didn't have the email ID, therefore I sent it to Institute of Engineers International. I'm sure they must have shared.
Yeah.
I think we are getting, I think it's coming.
Hello,
Engineer.
yeah, I'm here. Kesavan.
Yes.
Hi, K. How are you?
Yes,
Good
yes.
afternoon. Oh, good
Hello,
evening.
good
Good evening for you.
Good
Good
It's
evening.
5:30 there.
Nice to
Good.
meet
Good
you all.
evening
Yeah,
there.
yes.
Yes.
Very happy good evening, Kesavan Jaganathan.
Yes, same to you, sir. Suresh.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Professor PK Sikdar.
Yes.
Thank
sir,
you,
and,
thank
Major
you.
General
Engineer
MBA Kali,
Jaganathan.
Major
You did your engineering all in KL, sir? Malaysia only or partly in India?
No. I mean, Institution of Engineers Malaysia. We are
Malaysia.
all in Malaysia.
I know you got a very good engineering college. Kuala Lumpur,
Yes.
it's a very major technological
yeah.
institution.
Very, very active in at the Malaysian level and then the
Yeah.
Southeast Asia and ASEAN level.
Hmm. I hope you also linked your colleagues in Malaysia also will be hearing it. Kuala Lumpur, all the other important cities there, Malacca, or are they also linked with this program?
I hope so because our institution would have distributed all these.
Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't do
Yeah.
all the marketing for this.
So they must have already logged
I
in.
found out about this bit of a last minute and came in prepared, just doing it.
Excellent.
Yeah. So you got participants, many participants here.
Yeah.
8, yeah.
Yeah, we actually had a registration of 493, I think.
Yeah, that's a big number. 493 is a big number.
All right.
As good as 500, Kesavan.
Yeah.
I call you Kesavan or Jaganathan, which is the right way.
Only Kesavan. Jaganathan is my father's name.
Father's name,
My
okay.
late father.
I put it earlier. Vasudev and Suresh. Vasudev is father's name, so that you put first, then my name. I'm happy you're Kesavan
Yeah,
Jaganathan.
this is the American way. You'll have the father's name first.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Kesavan, Engineer Kesavan. I like the IR. IR is, here we put ER. In India,
yes.
we put ER.
Yeah, here you
Engineers.
use IR.
Yeah,
Means,
good, sir.
yeah, engineer, like got your ER,
Very good.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
good.
yeah. It's just a title where, after certain years of experience and so on, then you get this.
Excellent, excellent. So we are all there, sir. Now, Rathod sir.
We are
Yeah, I think so.
so we are in the practice session. So should we start it?
You are still showing it as a practice session.
I think
you
we
are
should remove that.
controlling it, Mr.
We should remove that and get it open for others.
Yeah, good. Now y'all all please wait while I get things moving. SDG sir, you have to, because y'all have the controls with you. You'll have to tell your people to now move to the main session.
Start कर दिया sir.
Kar diya? Okay. So if everyone agrees, we can start.
Yes,
Surely,
please.
sir.
Okay. So I am SS Rathod. I'm chair of the WFEO-CIC, and I welcome all of you all to this international seminar on green technologies, precursor for transition to smart, sustainable cities, which is hosted by the Institution of Engineers India in association with the Institution of Engineers Malaysia. I particularly welcome our president, Hemant Bhai Thakre ji, our STG, office bearers of the Institution of Engineers India, and senior functionaries, dignitaries from the Institution of Engineers Malaysia. I hope we have a few from WFEO also, whom I welcome. I welcome our very eminent speakers. Two of them I've had occasion to meet over the years of service since we have all been in the infrastructure sector. Shri V. Suresh, who has a very, who has been a major contributor to development of cities, particularly while heading HUDCO. Professor Sikdar, who I've interacted with a lot when he was heading the Central Research Road Research Institute, and I was Secretary of the Public Works Department. And I also welcome our panelists from Malaysia, IR Kesavan, and we thank all of you all for being here. I also welcome our very large audience. We had a registration of 493, and people have joined and will be keeping on joining, and I'm sure they'll have a very fruitful session. The WFEO-CIC is a standing technical committee of the WFEO, and it is hosted by the Institution of Engineers India. Earlier, we hosted the CEIT for 2 terms. Each term is 4 years. So for 8 years, that was about a few years ago. And then we have been hosting the CIC since then. We have had the privilege of earlier associations with the Institution of Engineers Malaysia. We had 2 international seminars, one in Kuala Lumpur and one in Ipoh. Unfortunately, because of COVID restrictions, some others which were planned couldn't get through. We had a lot of support from IEM and through Ms. Ui, who was always helpful in getting both our institutions together. We've had another one with a number of countries, including one at Yangon and one or two in the Middle East. So we plan to continue with this. Our action plan, which we have given to WFEO for our 4-year term, involves holding at least 2 to 3 international seminars in physical form abroad, over and above a large number of national and international seminars in India. Because of COVID restrictions, there has been some problem with that. So we decided to hold this webinar in association with IEM. And I'm happy that it has taken off. We hope with the COVID situation improving, we'll be able to have some physical sessions soon. I wouldn't like to keep the audience away from the speakers. So I would like to start by having the address by President of the Institution of Engineers, India, Dr. Hemant Thackeray ji. Dr. Hemant Thackeray.
Thank you, sir. Good evening and good afternoon to all. Our respected panelists for today's international webinar, Jagannath ji, V. Suresh ji, Professor Sikdar ji, my senior and our guiding star of IEI, Mr. S.S. Rathod ji, past president of IEI and chairman WFEO-CIC. Our co-associate, the Institution of Engineers Malaysia, Major General M.J. Sayali, Secretary and Director General, other revered, famed and renowned peers and professionals virtually connected to us today. I would like to share with you the Institution of Engineers India, that is IEI, is a national member of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations, WFEO, and hosts the WFEO Committee on Engineering for Information and Communication, WFEO-CIC. The WFEO-CIC is a standing technical committee of WFEO dedicated to the field of information and communication. The smart sustainable cities are built on the paradigm of a synergetic combination of both smart concepts and sustainability. It requires digital information and data to create transparency, enable participation of its citizens, and provide them with digital interface for its inhabitants to avail basic services in an inclusive and affordable manner. Smart cities provide a new concept which integrates technologies such as the Internet of Things, cloud computing, big data, and space or geographical information integration to facilitate the planning, construction, management, and providing services to smart cities. A smart city is where there is effective integration of physical, digital, and human systems in the built environment to deliver a sustainable, prosperous, and inclusive future for its citizens. The main purpose for developing smart cities is to ensure convenience of the public services, delicacy of city management, livability of living environment, smartness of infrastructure, and long-term effectiveness of network security. Frontier technologies have enabled cities to reimagine the way they manage urban complexes and infrastructure, from enhancing cities' responsiveness, optimizing energy efficiency, to improving access to public services. With proper guidance, frontier technologies can make cities smarter and more sustainable and provide the opportunity for leapfrogging, accelerating the global progress towards the new urban agenda and sustainable development goals. In this backdrop, WFEO-CIC is organizing an international webinar on this topic, Green Technologies, Precursor for Transition to Smart Sustainable Cities. This international webinar is being hosted by the Institution of Engineers India in association with the Institution of Engineers Malaysia. The webinar plans to bring to fore how the smart sustainable cities can harness the power of frontier technologies to leapfrog progress and achieve the sustainable development goals. It's a matter of immense pleasure for me to be a part of this technical webinar, conceptualized and organized under the aegis of WFEO-CIC. It is a real privilege to be here and listening to the experts who will be sharing their invaluable insights and experience with us. I am sanguine that this webinar would enhance our understanding and perception of the topic. Thank you, sirs. Thank you.
Thank you, President Sab. Now we go to our first panelist, who is IR Kesavan Jaganathan, Director of Freelance Consultancy, Malaysia. Shri Kesavan Jaganathan has more than 26 years experience in delivering and project managing various global and local engineering projects. He was Executive Director and Business Line Leader with AECOM Malaysia, District Energy Market Sector Leader for AECOM Middle East, and Director with Turner and Townsend Malaysia. He is a fellow member and Chartered Professional Engineer with Engineers Australia. He is also registered locally as a professional engineer with practicing certificate with affiliations and a committee member for international engineering organizations. He has completed many global and local major projects related to infrastructure, utilities, buildings, district energy and district cooling, renewables, peer reviews, feasibility studies. With a valuable experience on commercial building development, testing, commissioning, technical and contractual aspects of these works. While having completed some of the largest district cooling plants for King Abdullah Financial District in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, life science, industrial high-tech, tall buildings, hyperscale, rail, etc. He has also been instrumental in initiating various EPCM, design and build mode of procurement contracts, BIM and IR4. He has been a team member representing IEM for Malaysia standards, BIM initiatives, and Persatuan Architect Malaysia, and standard method of measurements with Royal Institution of Surveyors, Malaysia, to incorporate BIM and IBS aspects of projects. Building Bylaw Revision Committee with the CIDB, Smart and Sustainable Asean with AFEO, Mentorship and Industry Panel Advisor to universities and academic institutions. I welcome Shri Kesavan for his presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. S.S. Rathur, for the long presentation. Introduction to myself. Okay, I'm definitely honored to be part of this presentation, which is themed on smart cities. Yeah, smart and sustainable cities. So I think it's a very good joint effort between Institution of Engineers India and Institution of Engineers Malaysia, and then WFEO in general. Okay, just to check, yeah, you guys can hear my voice very well?
Yes, very clearly.
We can.
Yeah, okay, I will share my screen now just to give you a bit of background how I got involved with this smart city initiatives. Yeah. Are you all able to see my screen?
No,
Not yet.
Let me.
Not yet.
not yet.
Okay, where is the okay? Share screen. It's fine. Now I found it. Hang on.
Yeah, I think we should get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
yes, yes.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
start. Let's get rolling. Okay, I basically I'm you can see my background. I'm an engineer by profession. So for me, smart city is a lot to do with planning at the stage of master planning, urban development planning, and so on at the city level planning. So as an engineer, I started off working as basic engineering works, but then I got involved with some planning and so on, and also some large infrastructure works. So that's when I got involved with smart city works, not really works, but more towards initiatives together with Engineers Australia. In terms of work, actual work is more towards infrastructure planning. So as I said, we engineers, we don't really do our city planning on our own. Okay, we act as we provide support to the planners. Okay, this is the cover. I think you know what is this: green technology precursor for transition to smart city. Okay, I put this here. This is an event which I also presented this same presentation with slightly different. I added a bit more here on this for Institution of Engineers India. Okay, there's an organization called CAFEO. CAFEO is a Conference of Asian Federation of Engineering Organization. So we have this on a yearly basis, and it rotates among the Southeast Asian countries. So myself being part of Engineers Institution of Engineers Malaysia, we have a working group for sustainable cities, smart and sustainable cities. So I did this presentation as part of this working group committee. Yeah, you can see down there I wrote working group for smart and sustainable cities. Now, synopsis, I think Mr. Rathur has spoke a bit about me. Now, I'll go to the principles of these smart and sustainable cities. What is this proposed objectives for smart and sustainable cities? So my presentation earlier, I told you I was in the working group. We were looking at the smart and sustainable cities in Malaysia, as well as a bit of development in Southeast Asia, because if you look at the this organization, CAFEO, yeah, this is a Conference for Asian Federation Engineering Organizations. These are members among Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, and the Cambodia and Laos as part of Southeast Asian country engineering organization. So we meet. So this whole presentation was made to explore what was happening in Malaysia as well as in a bit on Southeast Asian countries. Yeah, so that's why you see it's not touching on Malaysia alone, a bit on other aspects as well. Okay, I go back to this. So policies and objectives for smart cities, policies in place within each country. So we have smart city policies within each country, as in when I was comparing Southeast Asian countries, policies in place within each country and the respective states within the country. How do we move in parallel with these policies and become a pillar think tank for this with our pool of resources of engineers? So I was looking from the engineers perspective, how do we play a big role in planning all this smart city planning and so on, and become an active participator or contributor towards all this? Because if you leave it to the planners alone without any engineering input, I don't think it will be as effective as just planning alone. Okay, to work together with relevant government bodies. Okay, the other proposed objective is also to work together with relevant government bodies to ensure engineering institutions are included in the policy making team. Okay, so many a times engineering institutions, they may overlook and not include in the planning level. So I try to voice this out and initiated, not to say initiated, I said every country, our engineering institution must play a crucial role in city planning. okay, to work together with other professional institutions like the architectural institutions, landscape institutions, surveyors, master planners, quantity surveyors, and other relevant stakeholders. So these are the other professionals. So we are not alone. So we need to work with all these other professionals, you know, as a team. Then we come out to bring something more fruitful. And development of guidelines and standards among member countries. So every country has got their own standards for, you know, smart and sustainable cities. You know, the angle they look at may be different. You know, if you look at among Southeast Asian countries, you know, we have Singapore. Singapore has got, you know, probably it's got a gold standard for smart and sustainability, so far ahead compared to other countries like, you know, even Malaysia. I wouldn't say as advanced as Singapore in many ways. Then if you take Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, they are all learning, developing, you know, and they have got different challenges. You know, their challenges, you know, some of these countries, you know, you talk about smart city, but they are struggling on basic infrastructure. So we need to strike a balance. But, you know, these are the guidelines I can give, the general guidelines for all these countries that I looked at. Overview on achievable targets among member countries. Okay, member countries, I mean here is all our Southeast Asian member countries. Okay, smart and sustainable cities. Okay, it's not just city building, you know, it encompasses the following major factors. You know, there's social, environment, and economy. Okay, without these three, social, environmental, and economic aspects of development, then there is no smart city. It's not just concrete brick and wall structures and infrastructures. All these social, environmental, and economic has to go hand in hand with the smart city development. So my second line, I said, focusing on one aspect alone will not significantly achieve these goals. So if you take environmental alone without social and economic, you may not achieve what you want to achieve. And smart cities are used as one of the approaches to resolve urbanization issues and improve the quality of life of societies in the city. It adds intelligence to the urban world and is used to achieve a higher quality of life. So why our whole intention of having smart city is not just smart, it is supposed to improve the quality of life of the societies. Yeah. And engineering, information, and communication technology is core of the smart and sustainable city. So we engineers, we play an important role in all these. Now, smart and sustainable cities, global and local agendas in Malaysia. So when we come, I mean, from Malaysia, we had a few understanding, memorandum of understandings, agreements in place in terms of smart and sustainable city. And we also have the global agendas. Global agendas are like the sustainable development goals. This is through, you know, I think all of you all know, this is through our United Nations for Sustainable Development Goals. Then you have a new urban agenda, NUA. And then we have UN Habitat. UN Habitat is another initiative which was signed in Kuala Lumpur. They call it Kuala Lumpur Declaration of Cities. Okay, so if you, okay, let me just show you some graphics of this. Okay, we have Sustainable Development Goals of UN. Okay, so these are all the, this is a well-known goal and it's accessible to all, you know. This is a brainchild of UN. And you can see all the goals, you know, we can emulate some of these and see what we can follow and maybe do better. You know, there are easily about 13 or 14 goals here. Okay, then we have NUA Habitat. Okay, NUA stands for, like what I said, New Urban Agenda Habitat. And this is also another initiative through, what do you call this? UN Sustainable Development Goals. Yeah, we have another 17 to 18 goals here, and the other one we can have something we call UN Habitat. Okay, UN Habitat. This is the cover for this. Okay, this was declared in Kuala Lumpur City. This is for, you know, they call it Kuala Lumpur Declaration of Cities 2030. So this is another initiative among the urban development and master planners. Okay, those are all the global initiatives that we try to follow in Malaysia. Besides that, we also have the local ones, local within Malaysia. So national agenda, we have 11th Malaysian Plan of Malaysian, yeah, Malaysian 11th Malaysian Plan, they call it 11 MP. National Physical Plan, National Urbanization Policy, Green Technology Master Plan, Low Carbon Cities Framework. So these are all the frameworks and the plans that we have in place for smart cities in Malaysia. Okay, there's more coming and developing, but currently this is what we look at. Okay. Southeast Asia, the future of ASEAN smart city. Okay, we among the ASEAN countries, like what I said, these are the member countries that we work with. Together with, we have institutional engineers Malaysia, so we work with the institutional engineers Laos, Cambodia, Philippines, Vietnam, Brunei, and Indonesia, Thailand, and Myanmar. So every year we have a meeting at different locations. So the last one was in Brunei, Brunei, and then we had some in Indonesia and Singapore as well. So smart cities are being developed in all these cities, and you can see further when I show you the other slide. Okay, the future of ASEAN smart cities. Okay, so in terms of ranking, you can see where Malaysia is. Singapore, of course, is ranked number 1, probably in global level as well. So Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur ranking, in the range of 54. Then you have the other cities, following behind, like Bangkok, Ho Chi Minh, Manila, Hanoi, and Jakarta. Okay, Malaysia Smart City Initiative. So in Malaysia, just like India, you have various states. So we have 13 states. So each state, we have cities within it. So each city, they have the smart city. So we have in Kuala Lumpur, place called Shah Alam, Cyberjaya, Putrajaya, Malacca, and down south, Johor, Iskandar, Malaysia, and top there's Penang, Georgetown, and also East Malaysia, which is in Sabah and Sarawak. There's a city called Kota Kinabalu and Kuching. Okay, so I mean, with India, I just looked a bit, I'm sure you have all these things are being developed now. So smart cities in India, I browsed through this information. There's all these things happening in first 20 smart cities. And then your Prime Minister, I think Prime Minister Modi itself, he has got a lot of initiatives. I see Smart Vision takes shape, Modi, So we've been, in Malaysia, we've been reading a lot of news about, all this development, Kasi infrastructure corridor, and also it is very encouraging to see what India has done, and it has actually developed very far compared to what we are doing. And this is also smart Chennai. I took Chennai because my forefathers are from Chennai, so I was trying to check what was happening in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu. So there seems to be a lot of progress there as well in India. Now, move on to smart and sustainable city influences at planning stage by professionals. So this is the main planning that takes place for cities, citywide planning. So we have master planning and urban development planning. Okay, major part of sustainable city is contributed by urban development planners and master planners. Okay, it contributes towards the early stage of city planning, where major concept level design can be made. Okay, so coming out from the master planners, we engineers, okay, we play a crucial role here, okay? And I've been personally involved in this kind of planning, where we have, this is actually a section through a road section. You can see where the utility corridors are. It can be in the median, it can be on the corridor of the road. So these are all very important aspects of a smart city as far as an engineer can contribute and plan for the city. So Institute of Engineers Malaysia consists of mostly engineers, and just like Institute of Engineers India. So we become a major contributor and planner in all these aspects. So infrastructure system design, this will ensure the sustainability concept are planned early. Okay, we need to bring this early at the city planning level. If we do it at a later stage, or if it is like if it's not a greenfield development, if we do it later, it is going to be very, very costly in terms of infrastructure cost. So all these need to be planned very early, right from the, you have the ICT conduits, if you have city level water planning, natural gas. So well-planned utilities will go a long way in developing a very good smart city. Okay, we also have civil infrastructure, utilities, and transportation planning. And then we have something called tri-generation to be incorporated, where incorporation of power supply, water and wastewater and other resources. So tri-generation, it is actually there, and sometimes people don't know the term. It's more like, you make use of the wastewater to use it for cooling, and then vice versa, where you have what do you call heat generated from elsewhere, also used for cooling and so on. So there's a good what do you call centralized resources of water and wastewater being used for other utilities, and that saves a lot of energy and efficiency in terms of power and water. And then also introduction of a district energy, decentralized energy, hydrogen infrastructure, and now we have 5G network, hyperscale, and so on. Then, of course, sufficient clean rivers, drain rivers restoration, river restoration, recycling where necessary. These are all important part of smart city, river restoration. And India, I know you all have huge rivers, and I've seen a lot of river development and cleaning lately. And so is Malaysia. We did a huge river cleaning in the center clear. There's a project called River of Life, which is, it comes under river restoration. River restoration is a big part of smart city, and as part of, environmental factors as well. So that needs to be considered on a bigger picture. Okay, smart and sustainable city components. Yeah, let's look at again. Where can we engineers influence? Okay, if you look at components. Okay, first look at components for a smart and sustainable city. What are the major components? We have a component on economy. Okay, I term it as smart because this is what was used by the local authorities, which is planned in local authorities, as in the Malaysian authorities who have planned for this smart city planning. There's a local housing ministry in Malaysia who has done a lot of planning on this. So those informations are actually available on the internet. So they divide into these components. They call it smart economy. Okay, so smart and sustainable cities consist of smart economy, smart government, smart environment, smart people, smart living, smart mobility, smart digital infrastructure. Okay, so where can engineers play a role here? Can engineers influence, these components? Smart economy, yes, definitely. Smart government, yes. Smart environment, smart people living, and all of it, engineers can be a good influence. And how can engineers influence? Okay, smart economy, of course, you have something called IR4, Industrial Revolution 4.0. And then in terms of productivity, where you have higher productivity in industrial nation, the industrial side of it, and entrepreneurship, local and global network. That is all part of smart economy. How can engineers, So just look at the header here. This is how engineers can influence. Smart government, yes, we come into, we talk about ICT, paperless government, e-submission. So these are all where engineers can really play a big role and to push all these initiatives. We have e-government, even you have e-election. I think India is about to go into a big election, one of your states. So in Malaysia, even Malaysia, we have not done any e-elections, but that may be many years away. And then other online services, cashless, e-payment, and so on. This is again where engineers play a big role. Smart environment, we have green buildings, net zero buildings. This is a well-known fact that how much engineers can contribute. Then we have sustainable, smart waste, renewables, circular economy, river restoration, and CO2 per capita monitoring. Okay, circular economy is a big topic by itself, and that will definitely be a big contributor towards a smart city. Smart people, yes, people, in terms of innovation and creativity, nothing to do with smart as in IQ, but it's more towards how innovative you are and how creativity is approached from what angle. And people, and also in terms of workforce, you digitize the workforce, that is the digital workforce. Then you have digital education. Nowadays we are all, digital education is everywhere now, especially with the pandemic. I think we are pushed into this. So digital education, and we have STEM, science, teaching, engineering, and mathematics. Smart living, smart healthcare, digital security, police, efficient public housing, smart mobility, sustainable transport, smart parking, EV, driverless battery charging technology. So these are all the elements where engineers can influence. And lastly, smart digital infrastructure. So I named it here, high-speed internet, cyber security, smart grid, data center, big data, and drones. Now looking a bit further into Malaysian smart city industry ecosystem. Okay, so these are the bodies. If you look at this, is Malaysia smart city industry ecosystem. Okay, this chart was actually generated by a body called housing ministry in Malaysia. They call it KTKT. It's actually a Malay acronym. So it is in charge of housing ministry development. Okay, Malaysia smart city industry ecosystem. So we have what we have policy makers on top. Okay, below that we have regulators and facilitators. Then we have the practitioners associations. Okay, this is where we come into play. We have Malaysian professional boards. We have architects, engineers, surveyors, and so on. Then Malaysian professional associations, industry associations. Okay, enablers. Who are the enablers? We have solution providers, component and part manufacturers, service providers, consultants and planners, developers, system integrators, telcos, and so on. And end users, of course, communities and people at large, the end user itself. So at this ecosystem itself, I also looked at where engineers become a great contributor. At the policy making level, we can play a role as a supporting role. We support initiatives, so we don't really go up there and initiate, because unless we are the policymaker themselves, but we are not, so we support that. Regulators and facilitators, we can play an active role, because we can be part of statutory authority bodies. Okay, all these acronyms and names you see here, these are all the Malaysian agencies and bodies under the government authority, or we have people like MITE, MCMC, JKR, and so on. You can see all these names and Google for details.
Sorry for interrupting, Mr. Kesavan, because we have a limited time and a reservation. So if you could conclude in 5 minutes.
We're running out of time. Okay, I'll run through a bit fast. Yeah, this is ecosystem, smart city ecosystem. Smart city, sustainable city policies in Malaysia. Okay, these are the policies we have. Malaysia Smart City Framework, Putrajaya Smart City. Okay, we have 7 or 8 policies. These are all different areas of development in different states. Yeah, smart and sustainability, how to implement. Okay, so how do you implement a smart and sustainability? Identify your city level smartness. Okay, devise a scale. Identify key urban challenges, urban challenges like air pollution, water, flash flood, and so on. Strategy and initiative, you can do a lot of things like what I said earlier, river restoration, tree planting, indicators and threshold. Okay, you need indicators, loss of green area. These are all indicators of where you are hitting depletion of freshwater resources. Key players and sources of funding. Okay, who's going to fund your smart city? Okay, this is a very important factor. Smart and sustainable city financing. So there's a bit on this financing. So who actually finances? The user payments. From the collection that you payment collection that you make from the users. End users. Land value. From the land value. Commercial revenues. Municipal payment. Or PPP, public-private partnership. So these are the ways to finance smart city, but this is a subject by itself, so it can be explored further before you actually step into making developing smart city. Smart and sustainable city available standards. Okay, what are the standards available? Global standards are there, and I'm sure India on your own, you have your own standards as well. Okay, but globally we have ISO 37122, sustainable cities, communities, indicators for smart cities. Okay, then we have ISO 37120, sustainable development of communities, and 123 ISO 123 37123, sustainable standards for resilient cities indicators. And we have IEC 63152. This is on the best practice tool for city planners. And we also have something called EEE Smart City Planning Guide. Okay, this is a lot to do with the smart grid, smart energy, and so on. Comes under the EEE guidelines. Other related global initiatives, there are Smart City Council, there's also, of course, sustainability ratings like LEED, LEED themselves have come up with a lot of initiatives and plan. And then we have Shri, the American Society of Heating, Refrigeration and Air Conditioning. They also have MOU with the US Green Building Council. Through that also, there's a lot of initiatives being made. Future initiative for smart and sustainable cities within WFEO. Why WFEO? Because again, we're talking about ASEAN, this is Association of Engineering Organizations, member countries. Okay, what needs to be developed, identify smart city components, sharing of meaningful data on smart city initiatives, identify smart and sustainable city industry ecosystem, engineering organization members to work closely on smart and sustainable city industry ecosystem, and creating a platform to foster better collaboration. Again, this was an initiative between the Southeast Asian countries or ASEAN countries to work together to come up with some good smart city formulas. Okay, smart and sustainable city solution under pandemic condition. Okay, all of us are under pandemic. We are having, all this COVID, huge pandemic is going on now. So how do you look at that in terms of smart cities? Cities will need to adapt to a new reality or new norm. Okay, people have been forced inside online education and work from home as well as away from one another. New challenges have been presented. Government, urban planners, developers, engineers need to discuss on methods and best practice to reimagine our fundamental relationship in terms of cities. Smart and sustainable city solution under pandemic condition again. So what are the factors I need to look at? Imminent factors to be considered. High density development, the way forward. Disaster readiness, shelters converted to medical facilities to contain outbreaks. So these are the things we need to plan, because when you see this is one pandemic, there could be more. So things like this should be part of city planning, development of greener and cleaner cities, new traffic patterns and healthy mobility, better Wi-Fi for connectivity for low-income groups and students. So many times when there's a low-income group students, they don't get access to online learning. Reduce demand for office space, work from home. Definitely, there's a less demand for office space now. Reduce commuter trips, improve air and water quality, reduce traffic. Okay, end of smart cities. We have remote working. Again, on the same thing I'm touching, pandemic smart cities pregnant will be crucial for post-pandemic conditions. Okay, this is touching on the same thing again. And then smart and sustainable cities, post-pandemic technologies. Okay, we have, there's a lot of development, IoT development, drone, tracking cell phone, to monitor whereabouts, and then drone to deliver COVID-19 test kits. We also have test kits to be delivered through a drone and so on. So these things can be planned, how to monitor whereabouts, Smart sustainable cities, post-pandemic technologies. Post-pandemic technologies, how are we going to implement all these technologies through, in pandemic times, and how it can help towards pandemic, and then in terms of smart city planning. Okay, we have, of course, IoT, Internet of Things, personal gadgets, wherever we go now, we need to scan. And then we have the social medias as well, and public services. Okay, smart and sustainable cities, post-pandemic data sharing and trust issues. So data and data sharing is a big issue now for smart and sustainable cities planning. And there's also plenty of trust issues. If you look at what I wrote up, the Dutch Data Protection Agency recommends to ensure smart city initiatives comply with data protection and privacy protection. Okay, this is a topic by itself. We can look at it. That is part of cyber security planning. Post-pandemic technology and trust. Okay, this is touching on the same thing again on the cybersecurity measures for smart cities. Yeah, okay. So I wrap up my presentation. Yeah, I just run through quickly towards the last few slides since we are running out of time. But that was touching more on cybersecurity. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And if you have any further queries, you can email me or put it on the Q&A session here. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Kesavan. If there is some time towards the end, we had kept about 10 minutes for a question and answer session. So let us see. Otherwise, of course, you can always contact him or pass it on to our secretariat at the Institution of Engineers, and we will pass on to him and get you his views on your questions. So now we come to, so thank you again, Mr. Kesavan. We come to our second panelist for the day, Professor Dr. P.K. Sikdar. He's President ICT, who are very reputed consultant here in India. They are called Intercontinental Consultants and Technocrats Private Limited, based in New Delhi, India. He is advisor also to the International Road Federation India chapter. While he is president at ICT Private Limited, he is a former professor of civil engineering and dean at the very prestigious Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Mumbai. Professor Sikdar is also former director, Central Road Research Institute, where he has done great work and where I had the privilege of interacting over a number of years as state government was also handling national highways, and also as we interacted when I was president of the Indian Road Congress. Professor Sikdar has been involved in the teaching, research, and R&D management for road and road transport sector, including highway planning and management for more than 3 decades. He is a fellow of the Institution of Engineers India, Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, and Indian National Academy of Engineering. So, Professor Sikdar, we would request you to keep it to around about 30 minutes, if that's
Thank you.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I will share my screen. Let me see. Yeah. Is my screen visible?
It started. Yeah, it's visible now.
I put it to the full screen. Let me see. Is it full screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Let me try to share again. This one. Share. Is it visible now? Full screen?
Yeah. I think it's okay now. It's okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all the people in India, and of course, good evening to Malaysian participants. The title of this webinar is Green Technologies Precursor for Transition to Smart, Sustainable Cities. The two words smart and sustainable are very important and very trendy as well. We know green technologies since more than a decade probably, and we have been hearing this term. And these two terms, smart and sustainable, they are very recent, or rather at least within last 10 years or so. Even, everywhere it is being used very frequently. Very recently, there were a couple of kind of webinars, even by Institution of Engineers, and I attended one, Unequal Cities Bringing Balance through development of smart cities. That was one of the themes. Even there was a webinar called Textiles for Sustainability. I mean, there is a whole lot of interesting themes coming up with these words. And further, there is a trend now since last 1 year or so, linking everything to Atmanirbharta. That means self-sufficient. And our Honorable Prime Minister has coined these Atmanirbhar Bharat. That's a slogan. And any improvement in productivity or betterment of the people for society, which you call 5.0, all that surely can be contributed to Atmanirbhar Bharat. And also yet another term which is quite often used is again called future ready. And the cities also have to be future ready. Our cities eventually has to be future ready. I mean, we can't leave it the way it is now. My slides are not moving. Yeah, moving. Now, the green, smart, and sustainable, these status can be achieved through ESG combinations that I call, that is environmental safeguards, societal objectives, that is people-centric, and transparent and smart governance. We are, of course, talking in reference to urban areas here, and that's why it comes with the smart city, which aims to make itself smarter, of course, more sustainable, efficient, equitable, and livable. And if I search in internet, smart cities have got innumerable definition in the literature. And many of them are in diverse form, and everybody has tried to call it smart the way they want to say it's smart. And of course, the 11th UN Sustainable Development Goals wants everything to be sustainable. And that's where on 11th, it says we aim to make the cities inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. That's what is the 11th UN Sustainable Goal. Now, we all know that each one of us want everything to be smart these days. We have smartphone, each one of us. We want a smart kitchen, smart food. We want to fly smart, buy smart, everything we want smart all around us. Similarly, the word sustainable is also very fashionable, and that also can be applied exactly in the similar way to multiple things. And any improvement aimed for efficiency and effectiveness can be called asking for sustainability. Now, in June 2015, Government of India announced 100 smart cities. And as you can see in this big cake, the piece of pies on the left-hand side, 8 of them have the 50 smart cities. These are the 8 states. Major states are having 50% of those smart cities. These are distributed across the whole country. And in the 100 smart city list, Shillong was probably the last one. Now, smart cities was initially a little misunderstood concept, as I would say, in any urban context, including in the mission itself, probably. Based on majority of the projects they have delivered, initially, I had this concept in my mind that they have not understood it fully. Because some believed it to be only some hardware, software, or infrastructure. Others thought that smart city is the thing that can be handled by the IT experts only. It's their job, none of our job. engineers, planners, and others can't contribute anything. But I actually thought smart city is the function of smart citizenry. Citizens have to dispose their activities in a smart way, everything that is required to be done in that city. And that's where the city will be achieving this smartness. Therefore, in the cities working and living, it has to be achieved by smart infrastructure, smart governance, and smart management of all services that are provided by the city government or any other government. Of course, above all, the smart attitude is to be there with the people living there. Otherwise, if they want to live in a kind of unsmart way, obviously the smartness cannot be brought into the city. And obviously, they must be supporting the smart solutions in the city. Now, obviously, by turn of the century or even last 10, 15 years, the message was loud and clear. The mantra was that digitize or die. That means be digital on most of the thing. And that's how we can achieve better smartness. Any ad hoc development or upgradation of infrastructure or services that do not add to the smartness of delivery. And that's what was not understood in the earlier years. And now it is understood in a large way. Now, here is a situation that though urbanization rate has been modest in India, but even with that, we have the future shock waiting for us in 2030. And this is a study by McKinsey Global Institute. They said that 590 million urban inhabitants will be there in India, which is twice the size of USA by 2030. 68 to 70 cities will be million plus, whereas it was only 50 plus in 2011. We will need to serve these cities, all these cities, by 7,400 kilometers of metro rail, which we can't think of doing it so fast because we have done very little in the last 20 years or so. Like that, that's like a future shock. Now, the reason we want the cities to be smart, the attraction of the cities is due to the fact that 75% of India's GDP will be contributed by urban areas by 2030. That's what is the projection. Although India is an agricultural country where actually more than 65% people still live in villages, but they are contributing in quite a big way these days because of all the other systems that have developed around them for economic opportunities and so on. Now, Smart Cities mission in India sought smarter solutions for better future. That was the message given to every city to start with. Government had a vision for 500 cities of the country and started with 100. Now, they had the plan to fund rupees 1,000 crores for each city, with 500 from central government and 500 from the states or local bodies. Of course, this 500 from each party is to come over 5 years, 100 crores every year. That was the idea. Now, question is that plan was for 5 years, but actually in these 5 years, what has happened? If you look into the results, only 20 to 25% of these cities have taken up projects to make really them somewhat smarter, with smarter outcomes. And Western experience actually suggests that 5 years time frame is probably not sufficient to convert or transform a city from average one to a smart city. It needs something like 20 years or so. Now, in India, of course, the smart cities concept evolved with a notion to revive the cities on the ground of sustainability and competitiveness by adopting state-of-the-art technologies. That's what was the objective, which was probably right. Aim was for better infrastructure and quality of life. That was also probably right. But these are cursory to the total smart city concept. Total smart city concept is much broader, and it wants smarter, not only infrastructure and not only something technology, Wi-Fi, etc. It is much bigger than that. It has to be truly smart. And that is how the planning and implementation of the smart cities, as I would have thought, were in a little weaker foundation to start with. But it picked up later on, no doubt, but time is not enough given to them. And basically, the urban systems, the existing operation and management had really no capacity to absorb this requirement, the smart city requirements. And that's why it has fallen short of what it is today. But obviously, the effort is going on. Now, this slide says what all smart city mission aimed. This is from Ministry of Urban Development website, and it talks about that focus is to be no doubt sustainable, equitable, inclusive, smart development, and identifying the areas where they should start. But much of it was actually required to be provided by the city government. Otherwise also without smart city mission. But obviously those could not deliver because of funding and other issues, and smart city came to their rescue, and probably they were trying to do it better in that way. These are again MOUD website, 15 essential elements of smart cities. These were given to guide the cities, what all they can attempt or what all they should try to do. Further, the smart city solutions suggested what they can do. But these are the things that should be tried to make the city smarter. And that's how it proceeded. And these are all, I mean, what Mr. Kesavan has been also discussing. So I'm going a little fast on this. And then the smart city mission suggested 4 different types of solutions, or 4 different ways they should attempt to apply the concept. First was retrofitting the existing things to the betterment. City renewal, redevelopment, complete redevelopment of the city or part of the city. City extension, developing in a greenfield development in the border of the city or satellite town or whatever it is. And then, of course, pan-city initiative. In certain aspects, you can take it as a pan-city initiative and it can be developed in that way. For example, the road network or rail network or metro network of a city. The entire city's metro rail network will be looked into. So like that, that's what was the idea in these 4 concepts. And it is said that cities has to be performed well on 6 characteristics, which Mr. Kesavan also has mentioned, that environment, economy, mobility, people, living, and governance. And then only it will be called smart city. Now, Accordingly, British standards has developed certain standards for smart city, for efficient integration of physical, digital, and human systems, how they should be done. I mean, our system, like Bureau of Indian Standards, also started to develop the standards for smart cities 18,000 series from 2020 onwards, and already 10 standards have been published and more are on the offing. An urban environment can be sustainable and smart when social equity, conservation of the natural environment and its resources, economic vitality and quality of life are achieved, and then only we can call the city to be smarter or better than what it was earlier. Now, some people argue that successful smart cities in developing world is difficult. It is difficult, and they give the reason as it is written here, because the developing nations lack their own policy institutions. They are generally attracted to adopt policy framework or policy instruments established in the West, and that doesn't fit to their environment. And that's what is said to be always in short of what actually is required. And lack of research capability for contextualizing for the smart city requirements in the local environment. Actually, smart cities are supposed to be collecting as well as analyzing a large volume of data through IoTs, Internet of Things, and obviously the cloud computing, open data system, large databases, what has been talked by Mr. Kesavan, those are required to have the smart city going. Otherwise, the smart city will remain like upgraded city, not truly smart city. And that's what is the point mentioned at the start of this slide. Now, examples are there from Europe, like London, Amsterdam, Vienna, Barcelona, Stockholm. They are front runners. And similarly, from the other parts of the world, New York, Los Angeles, Seoul, Melbourne, Vancouver, all these are great smart cities. They started somewhat earlier, and then of course, they have gone in a very systematic way, probably to achieve certain goals, not probably everything converted to smart cities requirement, but at least they have been able to handle much of the requirements. Now, let us now come to the sustainable part. Now, it is estimated that by 2050, 70% of the global population will be in cities, and less than 2% of Earth's surface is consumed by the cities. And these cities consume 75% of the natural resources available globally. And that's a total, I mean, staggering kind of fact, which scares really about the sustainability. The smart city concept has emerged as one of the possible solutions to work against this disparity, and trying to see that even if the cities are required and they have to be there, we make the total global situation or the planet a sustainable one. And commonly used set of characteristics are listed here, which I don't have to read because these have been enunciated a couple of times by Mr. Kesavan. Now, the sustainable and smart Obviously, smart policies aimed at sustainable mobility, energy upgradation of the building stock. That is one very important point, and I'm sure Mr. Suresh will be talking about it. The building stock of an urban area is the huge energy consumer, and that we have to convert it to renewable energy sources and other kind of efficient way of using energy, and that will make things much better. In addition to that, obviously, technology, innovation, smart governance, and financing are some of the important things that is to be looked into when we think of smart and sustainable. And obviously, future cities will survive by transforming to be smart cities, and green building and smart mobility. These two alone will make a big difference if we are able to achieve them. Because it is said that 70% of greenhouse gases emissions and 60% of energy consumed worldwide are these buildings and transportation systems only. Ingredients of sustainable smart city. A smart city or intelligent city, if we call them, is the smart economy, which has been explained adequately by Mr. Kesavan. Also smart people, which I have been arguing right from the first or second slide. We want to make the people smart. That means disposition of their activities in a smart way, and smart governance. Obviously, transparent, participatory government is required, where everyone can participate in the governance if he wants to. Other requirements, smart mobility, which I have already said is the large contributor of the greenhouse gases and consumption of the energy. And we need to save this planet by making it smart mobility. Smart environment, it is talked about every day, everywhere. It is the order of the day. That's what is required. Without that, we will not survive. Smart living, obviously, if we achieve all the other things, our living will be smarter one. And that's what is called Society 5.0. Now, this is the structure of, obviously, the smart sustainable city model. And all that I have talked about so far, these are inherent in this slide. This shows that only, nothing else. It is all possible by using innovative technologies. And that technology I want to talk to in 2 minutes, in the last 2 slides probably. It is the green and smart sustainable cities. If we want to transition to that, then obviously availability of cutting edge technologies will be required. And these are nothing other than renewable energies, innovative transportation system, Internet of Things, and whatnot. All these advanced technologies will be required. And then one thing of particular importance is the sustainable smart city. For the sustainable smart city is the smart governance. And smart governance is through so many different parameters. Digital democracy, open governance, citizen empowerment, participatory kind of institutions, and extensive urban data so that we can derive kind of ideas from the online or kind of open source data. And then, of course, there is not a single city, I mean, whether they are selected or not selected as a part of the smart city, everybody these days tries to adopt something smart to get to the level, call themselves smart, focusing essentially on digital technology, environmental sustainability, or any other civic initiatives, etc. So that's how everyone is aspiring to be smarter. And that's what we see all around us. Now, in the second slide of this technology innovation, I would like to say that half of the world's internet users are in Asia alone because we have the huge population. Technology is the key to unlock the world's power to deliver the SDGs as well as all these smart, sustainable cities or sustainable developments. Artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, 5G, Internet of Things, everything will be required. All of these will be required if we want to really get to the smart city, to achieve these smarter cities. Obviously, technology-based and data-driven solutions are to be applied, and then only social changes will come. Today, any business is expected to deliver the positive social outcomes and, of course, financial return. Without that, it is not called successful business. And that's what is the situation today. Now, I'm trying to give you here an example of one of the smart cities. I don't want
Professor Sikdar, could you conclude within a few minutes?
Yeah, within 2-3 minutes, I'll do it.
Okay.
I'm giving just example of one city without giving you the name. The city is projects delivery. You can see works completed in 25 projects, 66 crores. Works under execution over the last 5-6 years. This is the result of 5-6 years. Works under execution, 36 projects, 764. Works under tendering stage, 22-23. And DPR under preparation and approval, 168 crore. That makes the total 1,022 crores. Now, these are some of the technologies or rather smart city projects they have delivered. Solar panels on government buildings, integrated command and control center, smart classrooms in the schools and colleges. You see road sweeping machine, the sewerage desilting machine, green development under the flyover or open area. So like that, they have done some good thing. But ultimately, we need to get to all these other projects which are yet to be delivered. And that's where probably we'll get something really smarter. Thank you very much, sir.
Professor Sikdar, for that very enlightening talk. Our next panelist is Shri V. Suresh. He is President of Forum for Critical Utility Services, that is FOCUS, former Chairman of the Indian Green Building Council, former Chairman and Managing Director of HUDCO, that is the pioneering institute for housing and urban development in India, for the sake of our Malaysian friends. National Building Code of India. He was Vice Chairman, Housing and Planning Committee, and member of the Smart Cities Committee of the Bureau of Indian Standards. Shri Vasudevan Shri Suresh is presently the Chairman of the Indian Green Building Council. He had earlier served as CMD of HUDCO with over 50 years of professional experience in the housing, infrastructure, rural and urban development and built environment sectors. He was a member of the panel for Part 11 of the National Building Code dealing with sustainable development and green buildings. He also served as chairman of IGBC Policy and Advocacy Committee and played a pivotal role in reaching out to various government departments, highlighting that offering suitable policy incentives will go a long way in accelerating the adoption of green buildings in India. He was involved in the design and development of IGBC green building rating system for green cities and green villages. He has a wealth of knowledge on this subject, and he could be considered as probably the foremost person in the country in this. And so I welcome him, and I'm sure his talk will give us a lot of insight into the subject. Shri Suresh.
Very happy. Good afternoon to you, sir, and all the distinguished panelists. And such a pleasure. I hope I'm visible.
Yeah, you are.
Good, sir. It'll be a great pleasure to continue on the presentation after the wonderful presentation by Kesavan as well as Sikdar sir, Professor Sikdar sir, and therefore it makes my job as much easier because some of those elements already covered. Skip a little, and I will be talking on green technologies and practices for the sustainable, smart, sustainable cities. Let's try to take a global view on this particular subject there. The globe has been the phenomenal amount of population increase of 6.1 billion to 9.3 billion for 2000 to 2050. We are in 2022, we are about 7.3 billion now at this particular point of time. But more importantly, is the red strip which shows how they're going to be the developed countries, the population is going to come down from 1.2 to 1.1 billion, whereas the developing, which are the blue side, they're increasing from 4.9 to 8.2 billion. That's 88% is going to be the developing side. So therefore, India itself is a very major component from 32 billion population. It has increased to already 100, we already crossed a billion mark. And the urbanization trend is equally an important aspect. We are touching around 1.35 billion at this point of time. And the urban population is also getting down to 40% level. And that's a major thing of development. But cities are growth engines. That's more important. If you can see the next slide there, they're already developing in a large way. And yeah, thank you. Cities are growth engines. They are recognized to make an impact on the social and economic development at national and local level, contributing nearly around 70% of GDP. Very rightly, that particular contribution to GDP has already been brought out by Sikdar Saab just a few minutes back. Cities are also housing and services, productivity and social development in a very large way. And now that's an important thing to see how much it means of the impact for the need for green cities in a large way. Migration all over the world, 70 million per day, increase in urbanization. Well, 80 or 70, there's a figure, different people do it. Sikdar Saab sold about 70% of the Earth population to be urban by the time. But Asia, Africa, Latin America, the shift is predominantly coming over there based on the world data, our world data projection that's come just recently on that. Now, in the Indian context, if you look at it, 35% of our current population live, as I said earlier, last figure, a census-based figure, 2021 census not been completed, you'll get the figure of closer to 40% by the time on that. But 100 new cities will be coming by 2030, crossing the million mark. That's an important source which has come from the Indian Urban Awakening data. Plus 200 to 300 new townships are expected in the next 10 years. 70% of India is still to be built in the next decade. That's an important component. And as I said, 590 million urban population by 2030, and India's contribution is going to be substantial there. And the building and construction sector is contributing to the greenhouse gas emission in a large way. And 25 to 40 only on the global energy consumption, 30 to 40% solid waste generation for city-based economy, 30 to 40% of global greenhouse gas emission, and 20 to 30% of the water pollution. So anything that you want to do for any of the city development, you got to deal with that. It's in that context that Government of India in 2015, after the new government came in, they decided to set up 100 smart cities to contribute over there. And the Government of India's contribution was 48,000 crores, equal amount of money was to come from the state government and the city government, of the order of 1 lakh crore worth of rupee was to come. But that's only the government contribution. With that particular thing, you got to add on a large way and see how we should do. Resilience is an important thing. India is affected by social calamities, you require floods, cyclones, earthquake, landslide, sea erosion. So one of the major things is resilience to be brought in technology or whatever you do for your buildings and infrastructure. Very important. And you got to do that with respect to the regulatory framework that you already have in the NBC of health safety, fire safety, construction safety, electric safety, environment safety, life safety, and public safety. Very, very important that whatever you do in terms of technology to build either infra or building or whatever, take care of this. We keep on hearing of all types of building collapsing in different parts of the country and abroad. We can't afford to do that. And another next dimension that comes over is beyond safety consideration is the green movement. What do we do with the environment, ecology, energy consumption, quality of life, and sustainable development? There was a mention about Part 11 of NBC, the first in the world to do that, to introduce a chapter on sustainability. We are part of the Indian Green Building Council of CII, which is nearly 21 years old, to be the leader of sustainable built environment. What type of requirements are to be added to make the building sustainable in a very large way? And that's an important message that we have. And let's see how this has been possible in a success story, a very good success story in India, where we have about 30 rating systems available for the holistic green development in all forms of built environment. I'm using all forms of built environment because it's not only buildings to be green, it's a built environment also to be green is equally important, because you'd see all the asset class of buildings of commercial, residential, educational, industrial covered, but built environment coming township at the level of the neighborhood level, in terms of the campus level, in terms of the city level. We are the first one to come in the world on the rating system for the cities over there. And I've been able to contribute substantially about 8 billion square feet of green footprint coming from a small start in 2001 there. That's about 800 crore square feet of green footprint coming for all types of building, be it the railway station or the metros or the villages or the townships or retail building or township building or hill station development. Everything is covered in this particular area. And we contribute about 90% of all the green building in the country. And more importantly, these are all clearly based on the provisions of the Ministry of Environment, Forest, which is called the Environmental Impact Assessment Study on Land, Air and Water, and the star rating program of the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Energy Conservation Building Code, and the National Building Code of India. These are all very interesting regulatory framework within which all the sustainability elements are incorporated in a very large way. And our theme is sustainable development. And as a result of this good measurable impact that's coming is whether carbon dioxide reduction, energy saving, how much it will be, water saving is going to be how much, construction waste diverted from landfill, renewable energy quantity, how much new will come, etc. Every million square feet of a green development can lead to that. So when you talk of green technologies, we are talking in terms of everything as a highly collaborative approach with a project life cycle planning. For the first time, life cycle planning has come because the Part 11 brought in not only capital costs required, but also maintenance costs around the life cycle of the building, and taking informal decision making, right information at the right time, improve overall quality, and get us, and more importantly, using BIM. These are all very important aspects. How do you deal with the digital construction framework for smart solution as an enabler for sustainable development? And this will cover right from the design stages, construction stages, completion stages, and operation stages as well. Building upon that would be the next steps that we can work on, and that will be on the building material product. Green technology is going to green building products and blocks have to come. These are days where your carbon footprint to be reduced, and we building materials contribute in a very large way. Your cement, steel, glass, aluminium all consume enormous amount of energy there. You have to bring it down. So the Green Pro rating or the eco labeling for new building materials is an important one. 2100 project under CII done. Our idea is to be sustainable life cycle enhancement, using of industrial and agricultural waste-based material. The new products have got a less and less of carbon footprint reduction, less and less of energy consumption is a very important. So any green technology that in construction you have to deal with the building blocks to be done. Fly ash from thermal power stations, as well as using phosphogypsum from fertilizer factory, and also red mud from the aluminum factories, whatever. There are so many coming on that. We can't open out at this point of time, but keep this also as an important element. Technologies are building materials and component there. And once you talk of the cities there, you have two types of things. The new cities which can be done entirely in new area. That means your clean slate available. So that's called a greenfield cities coming. But you have to deal with the existing cities also to be made into green over there. So you should have a strategy to cover both these. So IGBC rightly brought out from 2014, 15 and 16 onwards, the right rating. The first rating was a greenfield project because large number of new greenfield projects are new land, new development in terms of social transit, air, water, energy done. But then we found the moment the smart cities came over there, all of them, including the 500 Amrut cities, they're all existing cities there. They are not new cities there. So you got to improve upon. Sikdar Sahib has rightly brought some of those areas. You have to retrofit, strengthen, upgrade, better water, better sanitation, better sewerage, better waste management, better transportation. So you already have a framework, excepting a small area. It's called the area-based development, where about 5 to 10% area, we can do all the best models coming on that. And then we also have 10% of Indian cities, all the hill areas. How do you deal with that? So these three framework documents are very, very important to provide adequate water, a good electric supply, sanitation, best possible thing, including sewerage and others, solid waste management, efficient urban mobility and public transport. Housing is an important component in robust IT connectivity. This has been brought both by Presidents of Kesavan as well as Sikdar Sahib in a very right way. The environment to deal with the e-governance and related one. And the most important thing is a green cities assessment matrix has come over there of cities eco-vision, land use planning, health and well-being, sustainable mobility, water sanitation infrastructure. All those details are identified in the precedent one after another. And this also has got to be smart in terms of safety and security, e-governance, command control center was brought out, smart parking, smart bus stops, smart infrastructure in terms of the bike sharing, and other one, citizen services. This again, people, smart citizens, how do you deal with that? And real-time performance tracking, city-based dashboard required to automatic tracking for all these. So green and smart together becomes an important component there. So key features of some of those rated ones which you do is a mixed land use component of walk to work, commercial, residential, retail, transit-oriented development to facilitate sharing of infrastructure, reducing the urban sprawl, reducing the time, water management, very, very important, integrated water management that can cover not only the 100% of the sewage and sludge to be recycled, to be reused in a big way for various requirements. A zero liquid discharge is the major thing, 100% rainwater harvesting, every drop of water to be conserved is a big thing. Next one is going on waste management on zero solid waste in terms of biodegradable as well as non-biodegradable, toxic, and also biomedical and other waste there. The whole theme is waste to wealth, trash to cash, refuse to dispose. The whole cycle, the funnel is there. How do you deal with collection, including segregation, transportation, treatment, and bring it down to a situation that every drop of that waste is utilized. So smart cities are supposed to provide that. Mobility is a very important component of reducing the fossil fuel, and there were BRTS, monorail, light rail, metro rail and company, any of them will be important. World-class non-motorized infrastructure, footpath, bicycle lanes, electric vehicle ecosystem, 20% to be brought in, fuel, biodiesel, ethanol to be brought in, eco-friendly community practices in terms of parking areas, shaded with solar PV, as well as charging one. Design for maximum green cover is another major component for the heat island effect we brought in there. Like Singapore today is a city within a garden. 45% is the green area. How do you deal with that, including the issues on urban agriculture to be brought back in a major 9 square meter per person should be the green area. Maximum energy efficiency brought in over there, be it for the existing building or new building or green landscape or green schools or factories or homes, everywhere to bring savings of 40 to 50% energy. So all your buildings are designed with energy efficient features in line with the energy conservation building code. Very, very infrastructure issue. So this is a very major component, bringing renewable energy as a very major issue as against fossil fuel one. The Honorable Prime Minister announced that by 2030 in the COP26 that 50% of India's energy would be through renewable. 550 gigawatt of energy will be there. And this is an area into which we are going to work in a very intense manner to work towards the options for energy, renewable energy, be it on solar or wind or related one. And let's just try to see how some of these features have got into it. Dholera is one of those large city which is coming out over there, which is a platinum rated one with sustainable city with a green infrastructure, roads and underground, all those dedicated utility ones are very important. That means you don't put in all level road, etc. And potable water desal plan, including the CETP and STP for recycling every drop water, and the flood plans to be taken care in a big way, solid waste to transfer and disposal, and power through generation. An industrial city of the order like Shri city, which will also see cities can also be for different characters. How do you deal with the growth of such city, and also in a big way? And here we have covered large number of features. If you see the next slides there, in terms of sustainable water management of not only the secondary resource backup, including the tertiary resource, what type of initiatives we can work into that particular area. Interesting one. Similarly, robust utility network connecting every plot, as I just told there, the type of treatment plants and the primary, secondary, and tertiary treatment related one coming down to each of the area, and how the recycle component is utilized for various purposes, and also utilizing the value of water, measuring that particular thing in a right thing, including utilizing that. Sustainable community is another major component in terms of large-scale development, progressing towards carbon neutral status, internal solar plants, solar street lighting, and traffic control system, which are controlled there, and 100% sewage recycling, and tens and thousands of trees planted for the expanding the green cover. Mahindra World City, another major component, transforming urban landscape into creating system, including all the social facilities. Equally important thing is the people to be centered. What type of things on education, recreation, other related facilities are also created. Healthcare is very important after COVID situation. How do you do that? And existing preservation habitat, especially for existing cities, how do you deal with that without destroying that? How do you still deal with that? More so the natural water bodies, ponds and lakes, to bring it back into life into a very large way, and also expanding this particular thing. And more important, food security is a very major component, which is also now attracting everybody's attention. How can we deal with that particular component? Also be part of the smart city component. Some of them are already incorporating this particular issue in a big way, and all the sustainable community in terms of the biogas plants or solar power generation, or the LED lit street lighting, or recycled water landscaping, as well as wastewater for other related products. Now, if that's the thing that we have done for new area, existing cities are a problem area. I told you all your 100 smart cities will come into this category there. So that means you have to take an existing situation on ecology and preservation, citizen welfare, land use, city transportation, infrastructure, efficiency, innovation. And we identified 25 green city indicators. This is very interesting. This will be a wonderful opportunity for us to build upon. Ecology, as well as preservation, citizens' welfare, land use, city transportation, and infrastructure. Each of those blocks will give you what can be done for that. Like the smart cities that we have guidelines for that brought out. Rajkot is one of the first cities which is a smart city, which has got a platinum rated one. It's fantastic. It's not an easy thing to do, but when you do 100% LED street lighting, 8.5 million kilowatt per hour saving, or your power generation would 55.6 million kilowatt per hour through solar plant, waste to energy plant of 1.2 million kilowatt per hour. That means you are developing a city which is smart and livable, and you're able to deal with the particular blue and green infrastructure. So green alone is not a word. Other related things are equally important. 100% water supply coverage, consumer metering, 24/7. Very rare cities, India cities are 24/7, water coming. And how do you deal with that particular rejuvenation of all the lakes to be done? That's a blue component there. Increase the city's water table, increase the city's green cover by 25%. So you have a new label called blue and green infrastructure coming. Of course, integrated solid waste management with 1,000 ton per day plan of waste to energy. I told a little earlier that waste to wealth is a very important component. How do you deal with that, including the biodegradable waste through 5 TPD plan? So every smart city has got to deal with the particular one, including the inert and other hazardous waste, they have a separate files to deal with the construction demolition waste related one. So therefore, all these are given marks for dealing with the particular thing on a 100-point rating scale. If you are able to get beyond 70, that's when the highest level of rating will come. The new town, Calcutta, has also attempted to do that in Rajarhat in a very big way of future-ready cities there, barrier-free, pedestrian-friendly street which are barrier-free, designed for all. And that's an important component there. Bicycle station, solid waste man, transport vehicle, best of real-time information as and when being provided, citizen being informed about those things are equally important component in that. Equally important is the city water management on all aspects of the water in the drinking water segment as well as in the wastewater segment. How do you deal with the city water cycle is an important component that we got to think in terms of utilize. We want it to be like Singapore, where 100% of the water is recycled and they're called the new water, NEWATER. The W is common. Every drop of water is recycled, the zero liquid discharge component will come. Every smart city has to work towards that. Where are we now? Are we doing very well? We must be on the scale going from 5 out of 10 to 6 or 7, etc., or going towards 8 out of 10. E-mobility is going to be a very major component because they are going to be an important contribution to your greenhouse gas emission. All your buses to completely change from diesel to other related options which are available. E-mobility will also cover the bus-based charging station to be brought for offices everywhere, and these charging and vehicles are also undergoing very major change, including on the two-wheeler and other related component. So e-mobility will be a major component in addition to what we do for metro. So I'm trying to indicate a three-pronged strategy here. What can we do in this particular thing over there? The city, 24 city. One is a pan-city manner. Cities can plan, implement green measures for entire city and take policy intervention. Second, by selecting specific activation area. I told you area-based development. Sikdar Sahab also told the last slide on that. The new area in every smart city, about 5 to 10% area is coming under that, where you can really plan and show good models, what all things that we can do in that particular. Then specific application measures, which can be done for solar, thermal, LED, lighting, cool roof, etc. Specifically, depending upon cities, we can do that. And what are the benefits of city and the people? Air quality improvement in terms of PM 2.5, PM 10. And this is one of the very major issue, air quality improvement. India is in a bad NOx, SOx, everything together. What are we doing for the increased urban cover? 9 square meter per person. I told you what do we do? Energy demand, 30 to 50% energy saving to be brought in over there. And how do you ensure the type of saving that can come? Water efficiency to the 30 to 40%, waste segregation in a very large way, e-government, BIM to be used, BMS to use, IoT to be used, the integrated command control center for ease of all transaction. How do you deal with the governance aspect to deal with all the services required by people to be given, and as most importantly, citizens participate. If you do all that, it's going to enhance the quality of life. And this is it's a big job. Governance will be a very major area into which you're coming on that. Then if you do that by 2050, we are going to get into a very major area. Or if today we got 40 billion square feet, globally, we'll get to about 100 billion square feet of green footprint coming over there by 2040. Green building materials and products where green technologies are coming, that can emerge into a $360 billion component. I mean, imagine we need to do the 9.3 billion the world over, but I'm only trying to indicate those portions where we are doing that. We need 3 times more resources than we currently use there. So how do you optimally, efficiently, effectively use the resources? An important point, correct. An important point that was brought out was the building back better. We went through 2 bad years of 2020 and 2020. The COVID has completely struck everybody. We got into it in a big way. It's not enough. Infrastructure, water, energy is not enough. You got a new dimension of infection coming over there. So how do you deal with that in your city development? So we brought in the document in 2020 on compacting COVID-19 green buildings, air conditioning, an important component, fast track emergency facility for treating COVID patients, and also healthcare rating, 1.0 rating. Now, very important component. This is applicable to large number of spaces where you are using infection spread can happen into public spaces, bank spaces, hotels, hospitals, office spaces. hospital, etc. So stay protected. So what are the green technologies you have to bring in to take care of infection as an important issue? Kesavan did mention about that in the last but one slide. I'm happy he mentioned, but I have already started putting in that. Now comes the next big leap coming is the net zero mission. Under the whole development of the COP26 agenda, is working towards the net zero mission. So to start with that, we started work on this particular thing, and we got the first document, net zero energy, already tried and tested at building level, net zero water, ZLD coming, net zero waste document, and a framework for the net zero carbon. And these are very, very important initiatives that has been done with good success. We had to build upon that. And based on that, we have launched a net zero mission on 22nd. Today is 22nd, but February, the 22nd April 2021, World Earth Day. We launched a mission for net zero. Over 320 companies are already joined this particular movement, or working towards transforming India into a net zero net zero mission, covering all these aspects in a large way. This is along with the World Green Building Council. We are working in this particular area, and this is going to be a major thrust area. And then building upon that are the next level of a net zero carbon buildings together. That won't be easy. Even though developed countries have put 2050, China has put us 2060. We are putting at India 2070, as the Honorable Prime Minister told in COP26. It is not easy because you got to cover not only the building level, you have to deal also transportation level, your energy generation level, so many areas where the carbon dioxide emission is coming over there. You have to deal with that particular canvas. We require a larger time period. That's why 2030, we gave that, India gave that particular mission of 550 gigawatt of renewable energy, fossil fuel, less by 50%. That will really set the trend for going forward. Let's build on that. And that will take us to the, if you sum up, primarily building sector, innovative, integrated, and coordinated design approach. That's important. And now all the disciplines have to work together. Civil, mechanical, electrical, MEP people, everybody, transportation people, infrastructure, they all have to work together and not work in silos. Green products and equipments to be used over there. I told about building materials will undergo very, very major change of the new building blocks for the year. The green and clean technologies for water, waste management, energy, etc., is going to be another major one. And as again brought out well by Kesavan, policy and advocacy from the government is an important call. If it comes over there, it helps. And then we want green education to come. Multidisciplinary, architects, engineers, planners, MEP people, all our IITs and all that. Are they talking about this? No. We discussed All India Council of Technical Education to see how green education can be brought into all the syllabi of architects, planners, engineers, mechanical, electrical, to bring all these things. And last and most important, awareness dissemination leading to people's movement. It has got to be made a people's movement. If all this we do, we will definitely charter and pave the way for India to demonstrate world-class infrastructure and also going in a sustainable way with the type of development. And India to be number one in the green footprint with 10 billion square feet, and India at 75 is one of the important prime areas that we want to do it. We hope we will be able to achieve that. And one of the mantras for the decade is going to the green path is resilient in terms of all the disasters and sustainable in terms of all the environment, technology practice. If you do that, that's the only sure way forward. I just want to show 4 more slides with your permission, Chairman. These are wonderful document that we have brought out on green cities. I'll take 1 minute more. 1 minute. Okay.
No hurry.
Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah, good. IGBC encourages cities to, this is a wonderful document that we've done on green cities, the very same theme that you have brought out over there. How can we make that happen? It's a beautiful compilation that we brought out over there of encouraging the cities to adopt SDG-driven sustainable urbanization strategy and addressing the national priorities of energy security, water security, food security, air quality, green cover, and waste management. It's a wonderful document we like to share with this particular thing. And this again, as I said, will have the green cities indicators. Go one, indicators. Next slide. The one back. Yeah. The green cities assessment matrices are going to be a very important component, how we can really put that into operation of various situations. And then based on that, some of those best practices that I just shared with you is available detail in all the slides there, as you see whether what we have done in Rajkot or Calcutta or various things. And beyond buildings, which are the new ones coming, the new smart cities of Bhopal, Bangalore, Bengaluru, Pune, Jabalpur, and all these people are also lined up. About 16 of those smart cities are already wanting to go green. So it's very interesting that sustainable green cities, we want to make that. Smart cities, they want to make it sustainable. The only path is using green technologies. Green technologies for all the elements of development that we have to do that. If you do that particular thing over there, I'm sure we'll be able to achieve the type of, the target or the goal that we have set for us. I'll stop at this point of time, Chairman. Thank you very much. And to Institute of Engineers, India and Malaysia for the opportunity for us to share this. Thank you. I'll be happy to take any questions if there is time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Suresh, for that excellent presentation, which has your usual energy, zest, and go-getting style. And I'm sure it has been an excellent source of information and education to all our viewers. We are just on time. As I had said at the earlier in my starting remarks, that we have people from both India and Malaysia and other places where WFEO national members are there who are participating. And because of the time difference, there will be places like, say, in Malaysia, where it'll be almost 7:30 now. So though I would have liked to have a question and answer session, I think there have been quite a lot of questions which the authors have, the speakers have answered. I've been seeing those, and the remaining will pass on to you and pass back to the concerned.
We can take a few maybe.
Okay.
I'm just asking, just suggesting in case anything.
Yeah.
We have three of us can take one question each or something like that. We'll be happy.
Yeah. Could the host provide for that?
Yes, sir.
Q box contains many.
Yeah, already they have. There have been a few, and few have been answered already. Yes, please, Secretariat, kindly take one question each.
So one question is from Dr. Ram Prakash N. He has mentioned that can a few words be said about public defense of game plan, systems and procedures for smart city programs? And he has also posed the second question: what is envisaged for periodic review and course corrections? This is from Dr. Ram Prakash N.
I think now if the answer, one answer can be done is a very important thing. The real-time data is very, very important, because way in which rainfall, the climate change has really brought substantial amount of change with respect to what is the data available earlier. Earlier data is not enough in terms of the capacity for all cities get flooded. So how do you deal with the real-time data of the latest information that we have and change the design system in terms of hydraulic path clearance? And this is a very important message. Even developed countries as well as developing countries are suffering this particular thing. And that is a very good point he has indicated. And the smart city design teams have been asked to go through that particular thing into real-time data. Ram Prakash, I want to assure you that This is an important component in terms of the issues. That's why the resilience is an important component. Sustainability is on one side, all the environment, ecology, all those energy will come there. But the resilience component will deal with all the natural calamities and the man-made calamities are important component. You've got to really take the latest information data. And we have been visiting, and I'm sure Kesavan will agree that we have similar problems in all the geographies that we have in neighboring countries, visitation by various natural and other calamities there. So the answer to the question is yes, we got to deal with that. Unless Kesavan wants to add something.
Yeah, Mr. Kesavan, would you like to say something? Mr. Kesavan?
You are muted.
You are on mute.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, Mr. Shri, Suresh, I certainly agree with what you said. Yeah, and real-time data is definitely important, especially we're going forward for design aspects of engineering, and with the advent of big data now. Okay, that those things are very much becoming accessible and easier. Big data, where you manage large amounts of real-time data, GIS, remote sensing. So this is playing an important role in future planning, especially when it comes to infrastructure planning. And then simulations. There's a lot of simulations which are getting better and better, especially with big data and use of stronger supercomputers. Yeah, so we are able to predict better in that sense. But though some of the natural calamities are still, recently we had a huge flood in Malaysia, in central city. So that was unexpected for. It could be like once in 100 years.
But that'll keep on coming now regularly.
Yeah, and it's becoming more rampant. 100 years becoming 50 or 25 years. So there's needs to be relook at all this, especially citywide planning, flood mitigation. You are having smart tunnels and so on for flood mitigation. But there's so much we can plan. But if we keep overlooking environmental factors, I think the more you plan with no disrespect to the environment, there is never ending. There has to be a balance. Yeah. So I think
there's also one last question. How are you going to ensure they are being monitored? That's also a good point that has come out over there. I thought Niti Aayog has done a wonderful job of all the 24 indicators that I talked about, that city level matrix that is there. They are trying to assess what is the mechanism to see effectiveness and implementation of sustainability. And the only alternative is to go through that particular model. And they have done that regularly. That information is being gathered. Year on year, the data is being given on the sustainability matrix. Where does the city stand? So there is some good news coming to Mr. Nakrani. He's raised his query on that. I just thought I'll clarify the information. The Niti Aayog's work is phenomenally good in this particular thing of collecting information from various cities on all those indicators, be it on water, energy, waste management, impact on air, quality, land, etc. And there's even the European cities are doing that particular thing. This is also a global model that's coming. So it's a good information. I'm sure even the ASEAN countries, I'm sure you must be also utilizing. But as a good question, I just thought it would be necessary to do that.
Yeah,
Thank
for the sake of our international participants, Niti Aayog is the planning commission in India.
Yeah, correct. I should have said that. Thank you, sir.
So I think we can now go towards the end, which is the vote of thanks. We've had an excellent 2-hour session. I'm particularly thankful to the speakers who have given great insights into this and have taken a lot of pain to prepare excellent presentations, which I'm sure all of us have enjoyed. I'm also thankful to the President, Institution of Engineers, India, Dr. Hemant Thakreji, and the President, IEM, the past presidents, council members, office bearers of IEI, IEM, WFEO colleagues, the Secretary and Director General, and the Secretariat of Institute of Engineers, India, and this very large audience, which has been hovering around anything between the 110 to 120 mark on Zoom, over and above the others on YouTube, which considering the time differences is an excellent audience. I thank you all for having attended. Again, I thank everyone, particularly the speakers, and I'm sure we will be having a few more of these, and we would welcome your comments to the Secretariat of WFEO-CIC, which is the IEI headquarters in Calcutta. And thanks everyone, and have a great evening and a great time ahead. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Suresh sir, you are muted.
I think I was saying as a participant over there, joining with the Kesavan and Sikdar Saab to Rathod Saab, thanking for the opportunity given. We enjoyed it as much. I hope you people enjoyed it. Thank you.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank
Thanks
you
for
very
the-
much.
Thanks for the opportunity, and yeah, we will keep this going, and keep in touch, and probably more talks like this can be arranged.
Yeah,
again,
both
Sharing,
thank you
sharing
to-
of knowledge and sharing of data that we have. Yeah, very good.
Again, thank you to the Institution of Engineers, Malaysia, and to the WFEO-CIC and the Secretariat of and the President and Office Bearers of IEI. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.